triathlon training can be rather specific with certain times and paces you've got to hit in every session, and that can be mentally and physically challenging. So when it comes to the end of the season, it's a really good idea to give yourself a break, both your mind and your body. But for anything like me, it's always over far too quickly. However, when you start back training, it doesn't necessarily need to be so structured and specific as it does later on in the season. So it's a good idea to add in a little bit of variety. And what better way to do that than with some off-road running? Well, we're going to be sharing the benefits of running off-road, as well as giving you tips on how you can incorporate it into your training. I guess I should start off by explaining why running off-road can actually benefit you as a triathlete. Well, one of the most obvious is the fact it's less impact. Running off-road can be anything from gravel to sand, mud, grass, or anything in between. And the one thing they have in common is the fact that it's actually going to be more shock absorbing than running on asphalt, so therefore be putting less pressure through your legs and your back. Obviously, sand or deep mud will absorb more than compact gravel, for example, and it depends what you want to get out of your run and what's available close to home as to which surface you choose. If you are returning to running after an injury or you're just getting back after your break, you need to give your body time to adapt to the impact. So running off-road and mixing this in with your runs is a great way to do that. Running on smooth asphalt in a straight line is just as hard on your cardiovascular system and on your legs, but it isn't going to work those small proprioceptive muscles to the same extent as running off-road. When landing on an uneven surface, your core and the smaller muscles that support those 26 bones of the foot and lower leg are going to be fired into action, reacting to each foot strike. You might ask, why bother if you're going to do all of your running on the road anyway? Well, having a strong core can make you a more efficient runner, and it can also help you to maintain good form for longer, so especially useful when it comes to a race. And as for those muscles that support your foot and lower leg, well, having them all firing and coordinating in the right way is going to make you far less susceptible to injury in the long run as well. Off-road running will also challenge your strength, as going on undulating terrain will change the way your foot lands and also which muscles you're predominantly using. Say, for example, uphill. Well, you'll be more likely to be landing on your forefoot, and you're going to be getting those muscles in your posterior chain firing, such as your calves and your glutes, and then your hip flexors will have to work a little bit harder because you have to naturally lift your knee that much higher when you're running uphill. If it comes to downhill, you'll find that your quads will really start to burn as you're putting them into eccentric loading to control yourself as you go down the hill. And then if you're running on a surface that's, say, heavy going, such as deep mud or long grass or sand, well, it's naturally just going to feel that much tougher, and you might have to lift your knees up higher to clear the ground, and that in itself is going to make you much stronger as a runner. Don't underestimate the power of running off-road as a mental break and also positive effect on your training. So go and discover new routes, run on the countryside or by the sea, and it's a great way just to remind yourself of why you run and to enjoy running for the sake of it. If you want to do a long run, for example, then it's a great way to just not worry about pace and run to feel, keep it easy. But you are going to have to negotiate obstacles and different terrains, so don't worry about the time on your watch. If you want to do some intervals or some strength work, then actually use heart rate instead of pace as a better gauge to measure your efforts. If you only ever run on the road, then maybe the thought of getting your perfectly clean new trainers a little bit muddy and damp might be putting you off, or it could be the fear of not being able to complete a session if you go out on a new route. Although hopefully by now we have convinced you of the benefits of going off-road, so in order to enjoy it you just need to be adequately prepared, and we're going to start by looking at kit. Having the correct footwear is obviously going to help, but it does depend on how off-road you're intending to go. As if you're running on hard gravel or just really dried out grass or even sand, then your ordinary running shoes will be doing a perfectly good job. However, if you plan to go where it's a bit muddy or somewhere more slippery, then getting an off-road specific shoe will just help you to be able to carry on running on whatever the terrain is. And you can even get waterproof off-road shoes, so just protect your feet a little bit more if you're going somewhere muddy. But do beware of off-road shoes. They can sometimes be a bit slippery when you come back onto the road. As for the rest of your kit, you're not going to need anything too specific, but I would recommend leaving your favourite white socks at home, as they're probably not going to be the same colour again after going off-road. And then if you're someone who likes to run in the dark, or you have to due to work, and you're used to using a head torch on the road, well, if you're going off-road, you'll probably want to get a few more lumens in your head torch, as you're not going to have the head torch just to be seen, but actually to see where you're putting your feet on uneven ground. when it comes to finding new routes, there's no harm in relying on a friend who already knows where you're going, but a lot of smartwatches, including the Polar Vantage V, can actually upload maps and routes which you can find online, so then you've got it on your watch and you're good to go. But if you don't entirely trust your navigation system and you want to back up, there's no harm in popping your phone in a pouch or carrying it in your hand, so you've got that reassurance. It is all about the planning, so if you know the route that you're taking and you've got the right kit, then head out there and enjoy it. And if you're feeling really adventurous, why not look up your local cross-country races? They're a great way to get fit whilst having a bit of fun. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed it. Give us a thumbs up, like, hit the globe on screen to subscribe so you can get all of our videos here at GTN. And if you want to see a fun video we did comparing on-road to off-road running, you can find that one down here. And if you want to know how to run in the winter and prepare for the colder months, you can find that one just here.